Welcome to the Roadside Realities channel. Today, we're focusing on the hazards of driving without proper vehicle maintenance. Keeping our roads safe starts with well-maintained vehicles. Stay tuned. A car went too fast and crashed head-on into a container truck, causing severe damage. The container truck immediately caught fire after colliding with the vehicle on the road. The collision happened because the two vehicles were too close when passing each other. At the intersection, even one car running a red light can cause an accident. The car didn't pay attention to the distance and drove onto the sidewalk, causing an accident. The car got too close to the container, causing a collision. Yet another accident caused by being too close. The vehicles were going too fast, causing an inability to brake in time. Vehicles must definitely pay attention to the distance when passing each other. The accident was truly horrifying. The car lost control after colliding with the container truck. The container truck collided with the vehicles in front because the distance was too close. Two convoys collided just because the rear distance was too close. The driver probably doesn't know what they've caused. Yet another accident because of speed at the intersection. The driver has probably learned a lot of lessons from this accident. The car suddenly swerved, causing it to be hit twice. Two vehicles collided due to poor speed control. Perhaps the car lost its brakes and couldn't stop at the red light. The container truck stopped on the road, and its aftermath. The car suddenly exploded. Luckily, no one was inside. After the collision, the car skidded across the road for a considerable distance. The car didn't manage to cross the railroad tracks before the train arrived. Both drivers need to learn from this incident. The vehicle changed lanes too closely, causing an accident for the car. Was it due to the car losing control or the driver's inattention? The accident left quite severe consequences. As soon as the car changed lanes, it was hit from behind. The electric wires sparked continuously, but didn't cause harm to anyone. The long rear end of the vehicle causes it to skid when turning. Perhaps the driver should learn from this. Drive slowly and observe the road carefully. The truck overturned. Luckily, no one was injured. The wheel suddenly came off, causing the vehicle to have an accident. Vehicles must be extremely careful when crossing intersections. The vehicle overturned while turning, directly falling below. The electric wires sparked, but no one was affected. Yet another accident at the intersection due to speeding and lack of observation. The vehicle overturned after colliding with a car turning at the intersection. The container truck braked suddenly and collided with a car on the road. The driver might have mistakenly pressed the accelerator, causing the vehicle to overturn immediately. The car, after losing control, was terrifying. The container truck ran a red light, causing severe consequences for the car. Both drivers must pay attention to the road for better safety. The car sped away at a terrifying speed and crashed into an electric pole. A serious accident occurred at the intersection with very severe consequences. Another accident happened at the intersection due to speeding and lack of observation. The accident was very unusual. Luckily, no one was harmed. Accidents occurred continuously twice, almost at the same time. The car lost control and sped along the road, causing a collision with another vehicle on the road. The car suddenly swerved, causing the vehicle behind it to be unable to avoid in time. The truck lost control and sped along the road, causing many collisions. The car swerved around the front of the container truck, causing it to lose control and collide with the barrier. The car towing a too large trailer lost balance and control. The collision occurred very seriously at the intersection. container truck couldn't brake in time and pushed the car a long distance. Vehicles must not run red lights. It's dark, so drivers should move slowly for safety. The car lost control and hit the barrier. Fortunately, it didn't cause any accident. Both drivers seem to need to be more careful when driving. The car turned into a blind spot and was driving quite fast. The car exploded on the road, but no one was injured. Sometimes accidents from natural disasters cannot be prevented. Turning suddenly, the car had to bear the immediate consequences. The truck's load was too heavy, causing it to sway and lose balance in front of the car. The car braked suddenly on the slippery road and hit the barrier with significant force. The car behind also had an accident because the container in front lost balance after the collision. The car swayed continuously for a long stretch before overturning. Towing a too long trailer behind is also extremely dangerous. Perhaps the slippery road and sudden braking caused the car to lose control. All the goods fell from the truck. Luckily, no one was in danger. Overtaking too closely, the car immediately had an accident due to its mistake. The truck overturned due to sudden braking, crashing directly into the roadside pole. Anything blocking the railway can cause a train accident. Running a red light is one of the most foolish mistakes a driver can make. After the collision, the car rolled a considerable distance. Very dangerous. The accident left a big lesson for drivers. The consequence occurred because the car moved too close to the edge of the road. The car swayed along the road, lost balance, and overturned. After the collision, both cars suffered severe damage. Two containers collided heavily, but no one was injured. After this, the driver will probably never dare to park like that again. The car turned and crashed directly into the exiting container. The container had an accident due to its own engine. Fortunately, the driver is okay. The accident left both drivers with deep lessons. After the collision, the car immediately caught fire. Everything was terrible. Running a red light is extremely dangerous, drivers. Please don't do it. Due to engine problems, the car overturned right on the road. Really terrible. The car lost control and moved without direction on the road. The car moved as if it had lost control. The container collided with the barrier. Luckily, only the vehicle was damaged. The container overturned and slid off the road, hoping the driver is okay. A severe collision. Drivers must always stay calm to ensure safety. The car lost control and crashed into the roadside. Luckily, the nearby driver handled it well. Perhaps the car's brakes failed, so it couldn't stop in time. After the collision, the car lost control and hit the roadside pole. Moving too close caused the two cars to collide. However, it was not serious. A series of accidents occurred because the car could not brake in time. Changing lanes at too close a distance, the driver should learn from this. Before turning, cars should observe to move safely. Moving at night is difficult to see, so drivers must be very focused. The car sped down the road, causing continuous collisions. The car went up the curb perhaps because the driver wasn't paying attention. The truck's trailer detached and backed into the parked car behind. It wasn't worth it for the driver to act that way. The consequence of driving too fast, the driver couldn't brake in time. Another collision caused by driving too fast. Maybe the driver didn't observe from the start. Drivers must be extremely careful when driving on snowy roads. Accidents at intersections have been mentioned many times. The collision happened right at the intersection, but everything is still quite okay. Moving too fast, the car couldn't control itself and crashed into the curb. Perhaps the red car wanted to overtake quickly, but still didn't make it. Running the red light, the car immediately faced danger. Sudden braking caused the container to have an accident. Why did the car try to overtake at such a close distance? This intersection could be called the crossroads of accidents. Losing the brakes, the car uncontrollably sped through the tunnel. After the collision, the car suffered severe damage. The accident occurred after the car lost balance and swayed on the road. Moving too fast, the car caused a horrific accident at the intersection. The container braked suddenly and faced the consequences. Accidents from natural disasters are difficult to avoid. The container braked suddenly and immediately slid down the road. Overtaking too closely, the car caused an accident just because it didn't pay attention to the distance. The car braked suddenly, slid, and caused a collision with two other cars. The roadside tree suddenly fell, of course. The car had to bear the consequences. Controlling speed is always a priority for drivers. Perhaps the car not only lost control, but also lost its brakes. Trying to run the red light, the car caused a major accident. If the driver had controlled the speed, everything would have been fine. The car overtook with too close a distance, causing the accident. The collision from one side affected the other side of the road. Praying that the train will reach the end of the station safely. Impacted from behind, the car crashed into the car in front of it. Trying to brake only made the car slide further down the road. drivers should observe carefully to learn from experience. After the collision with the curb, the container immediately lost control and overturned. The collision with the curb caused the car to have problems. Why were two cars going in opposite directions on the same road? After the collision, both cars crashed into the curb, causing severe damage. The sudden stop of the car made the car behind unable to react in time. After the collision, all three cars were involved in the accident. Perhaps it was too dark for the driver to see the parked car. The wheel suddenly fell off. Drivers should regularly check their vehicles. A terrible fire broke out. Hopefully, no one was injured. Sudden braking made the car slide a long distance down the road. The container overturned due to loss of balance. Fortunately, no one was affected. The container lost control, causing a series of collisions. After the collision, the car seemed to lose complete control. Maybe the driver pressed the accelerator too hard while turning. The collision happened because the car ran the red light. Quite a rare accident. Really dangerous. The container lost its brakes, pushing the car onto the curb and continuing to run. Sometimes nature brings really terrible winds. Another car was blown a long distance by the wind. Another accident because the wheel came off. The accident left a deep lesson for both drivers. Both need to learn from this experience. Changing lanes suddenly like that is not good for drivers. Snow-covered roads are hard to see and drive on. Drivers should be careful. Perhaps the driver wasn't aware of what they caused. Sudden braking caused the driver to panic. The car crashed into the curb. Don't go too fast on curves, it's easy to overturn. The fault was due to both cars not observing carefully. Changing lanes too closely, the car immediately collided. Maybe the driver pressed the accelerator too hard while reversing. The car tried to avoid but still couldn't escape the collision. The load load on the truck was too bulky, causing the vehicle to lose balance. What force caused the vehicle to fly off so violently? Moving at high speed is never a good thing. The car suddenly had an accident because the driver was not paying attention to the road. The car lost control, veered onto the sidewalk, and overturned due to loss of balance. The fire quickly spread right after the collision. The container lost control. Fortunately, it did not cause an accident with other vehicles. The accident left the driver with a profound lesson to be more careful. The car lost control and swerved wildly on the road, causing an accident by itself. Usually, when the load is too heavy, this situation will inevitably happen. Suddenly, rocks fell from the cliff, fortunately not injuring anyone. The container had an engine problem causing the rear load to overturn on the road. Just 1 second of inattention can cost the driver a lot. The vehicle was too close to the curb, making a quick turn and causing it to lose balance. Perhaps this time it was the fault of the car not checking before changing lanes. The car crashed straight into the house. Luckily, no one was inside. Passing too close and too fast, the car caused an unnecessary accident. Consequence of deliberately overtaking in front of a container truck. The container truck overturned at the curve, which is really dangerous. After the collision, the car lost control and sped uncontrollably on the sidewalk. Sudden braking will often cause the vehicle to overturn. Drivers should slow down. The container truck crashed through a row of houses. Luckily, no one was injured. The consequence of not yielding and not observing the road. Running a red light, the car immediately had an accident because of its action. All the cargo on the container truck fell off, but did not injure anyone. load caused the entire truck to lose balance. The height of the load exceeded the bridge clearance, causing an accident. Losing control, the car knocked down 2 streetlights but did not cause any injuries. The car immediately had an accident when it blocked the front of the container truck. Going too fast, unable to turn, the motorcycle plunged off the curb. Both vehicles should take heed to observe more carefully next time. Still having the issue of not observing when crossing the road. I don't know how far the car will be pushed by the train. The driver should move more steadily on the road. The container wanted to cross the road while the truck was moving too fast. Although it stopped too close. Going too fast caused the driver to be unable to stop before the accident. Everything happened because of lane encroachment and sudden braking. Perhaps the car lost its brakes and could not control itself. Strong collision with the barrier, one wheel came off. Both vehicles need to learn from their mistakes in driving. Before getting out of the car, the driver needs to check behind before opening the door. The red car made an unreasonable turn across the road. The car lost control and swerved aimlessly on the road. When passing intersections, drivers should be careful. Speeding caused the accident to happen. The car was going too fast and caused a collision at the curve. The driver was not paying attention, which led to such a dangerous collision. Moving too fast never yields a good result. The dangerous consequence of not paying attention while driving. The car lost control, skidding in front of another vehicle. The vehicle was too high and collided with the traffic light above. The car veered onto the sidewalk due to the driver's carelessness. Any object flying onto the road can cause a vehicle to crash. On narrow roads, vehicles should slow down to avoid collisions. It seems the container knew what was happening, but still tried to go through. Drivers should avoid overtaking at a dangerously close distance. harm of speeding and attempting to overtake. An explosion suddenly occurred. Not sure if the driver is safe. Why did the driver decide to move with such a high load? Overtaking too closely, the driver caused an accident for themselves and others. A collision with an oncoming container truck. Truly terrifying. Never try to overtake so closely like that. The car immediately overturned after losing balance. Was the driver really in such a hurry to move so fast? The car suddenly swerved into the road, causing the oncoming vehicle to react too late. A rear-end collision caused the car to crash into the road barrier. Another accident caused by a container truck trying to cross in front of a train. The bus was going too fast, causing an accident because it couldn't stop in time. A rear-end collision caused the car to veer onto the curb. Yet another accident at a railway crossing. The car lost balance and overturned on the road. Just one car losing control caused 3 cars to be involved in an accident. It's fortunate that there were no cars behind. Did the driver really not see the car in front stopping? Overtaking at such a close distance caused this terrible accident. Both drivers need to learn to observe more carefully when driving. After the collision, the vehicle owner probably lost their composure. The container lost control and caused damage to the house in front. How did the car move to encounter such a terrible accident? Even though both vehicles tried to brake, it was all in vain. Observing when passing an intersection is extremely necessary. Moving too fast, the car caused a horrific accident. train dragged along a car that stopped on the tracks. The container truck braked suddenly and skidded a long distance on the road. A bulky load will cause the vehicle to lose balance. The car caused its own accident by overtaking too closely. The car rushed out without looking, causing a severe accident. The container was going too fast, braked suddenly, and skidded. The slippery road and sudden braking caused the car to skid and collide with the train. The car lost control and crashed into the container. The car was going too fast, couldn't avoid, and crashed into the curb. An accident left quite serious consequences. The car lost control and continuously collided with two parked cars. The driver learned another lesson about observation. Everything is truly dangerous. Drivers should pay attention to safety. Lightning struck directly at the parking lot. Fortunately, no one was there. Yet, another accident occurred at an intersection. The collision of the two cars in front affected the car behind. Never run a red light, drivers. It's very dangerous. The container driver observed the outer vehicle, but didn't see the car beside it. The car skidded while braking suddenly, fortunately causing no accidents. Vehicles should absolutely keep a safe distance while moving on the road. Drivers should pay attention and yield to each other for everyone's safety. The container didn't brake in time and pushed the car at the intersection. Observation is absolutely necessary when passing an intersection. Although it didn't cause an accident, the car suffered heavy damage. The car crashed into the road barrier, truly terrifying. The car was going too fast, couldn't stop in time, causing a collision. The container turned, dragging a load that collided with several oncoming vehicles. The container couldn't stop in time at the checkpoint, causing a major fire. Just one train car having an issue can affect the whole train. Turning at too high a speed, the vehicle tilted and overturned under the bridge, Overtaking too closely, the container overturned on the road. The driver learned a lesson about observing at intersections. The car was nearly off the railway when it had an accident. An accident due to a rock cliff, but the driver is okay. Speeding through the intersection is not encouraged at all. Perhaps the container driver was unaware of this incident. What could happen with a car that loses its brakes? The car immediately caught fire after the collision. Hope the driver is okay. A container making a sudden stop is quite terrifying. The car collided with the car in front, causing a horrific accident. The truck turned too quickly, causing it to overturn. The car suddenly had an engine problem, causing a collision. The car tried to stop, but still couldn't maintain balance. The truck lost balance and overturned. Luckily, everyone on the road avoided it in time. Container trucks should slow down on curves to avoid overturning. Perhaps the driver accelerated out of fear of a collision. The car had to suffer the consequences of its speed. Although they braked suddenly, both cars couldn't avoid each other. The consequence of not observing when changing lanes. The accident was extremely horrific. Just hope the driver is okay. Drivers should observe carefully when passing intersections. The consequence of a container not braking in time. After the collision, both cars lost balance and control. The container driver needs to learn from this about their speed. A collision at the intersection caused a car to overturn. Very dangerous. Because of not observing, the car was hit by a container. Moving too fast, the car caused its own accident. The driver decided to leave after the horrific accident they caused. truck couldn't brake in time, causing a series of accidents. The consequence of going too fast and braking suddenly. After the collision, the car immediately lost control and suffered heavy damage. Yet another accident because of a wheel. The load overturned, causing all the cargo to collapse. Perhaps the driver will remember the bridge height after this. Running a red light can cause an accident at any time. By the time the car realized to avoid, it was too late. The car braked suddenly on a slippery road, causing its own accident. Stuck to the back of the truck, the car could no longer control itself. Accidents caused by nature are always quite unexpected. Always remember the consequences of changing lanes too closely. The car suffered the consequences of a collision from the adjacent vehicle. A lesson for the driver about not observing the road. One car was going too fast, while the other changed lanes too hastily. The car was hit because of too close a distance. Yet another accident blocking the train. The truck driver must absolutely learn from this. The car was moving too fast, not paying attention to the curb distance. Braking suddenly on a snowy road is actually quite difficult. Why was the car moving at such a close distance? The cargo fell off the car, and the driver didn't even know. Avoided the car in front, but collided with the container behind. The container was moving too fast compared to the car.